Hello, hello. Welcome back to another self-publishing tutorial with none other than Elle Cole. I am a mom of twins. I have two daughters and I am also an author. I have published over 13 books and I am excited that Cayenne Wellness Center has welcomed me back to teach you about self-publishing. So during today's tutorial, we are going to actually do some hands-on work. So if you attended our first session, I think it was back in April, which was a long time ago. We are now in August. And so you should have some of your books together, but if you haven't, we're going to talk about an easy book or a book that is a little simpler to put together. And so today we're going to go through how to actually put together a journal. And we're going to be using Canva primarily. So if you have ever been to canva.com, then you know that it has made graphics so simple for people. And so even if you are not a graphic designer, but you have a desire to create graphics, it's a great way to get started. And so I want to just welcome everybody right now and say, I am glad that you are interested in publishing because for many people, they may dream of becoming an author. And I'm here to let you know that today you can write that book, you can publish it, and you can start selling it. So in our last class, just to quickly refresh, we talked about the benefits of self-publishing over having an agent. So many of you have maybe written inquiry letters and query letters and sent them to see if you could get published from an agent. And, you may not have heard back. Well, I like to say that the gatekeepers are gone. And with all of technology today, anybody, anybody who wants to become an author can, in fact, become an author. And one of the platforms that I publish on is Amazon. I know everybody's not super happy with Amazon, but they have made it easier for people to publish. But that's not the only platform. There is also other platforms like Barnes and Noble has a platform. Lulu has a platform that allows people to publish. Draft to Digital has a platform that allows people to publish. And so those are just a few. I also like Ingram Spark. So all of those are some of the platforms that self-publishers or independent authors can share their books. And so I know you're super ready for today's tutorial. We're going to really get into today's tutorial in a few minutes. I just want to make sure that you all are clear about self-publishing. So when you are self-publishing, that means that you're doing most of the work yourself. So that means formatting the book, writing the book. You can certainly hire people to help you. You can hire a ghostwriter. And you don't have to be a rich person to hire a ghostwriter. You can be an everyday person and you can share your story with somebody and have somebody else write it. But if you want to take publishing into your own hands and write your book, I'm here to help you do that today. And so I'm going to share one of the books that I published. And one of those books that I published is 90 Days for Me, a self-publishing guide for parents. And so I'm going to show you just some of my book titles. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see some of the books that I have published. So just give me a quick second to share my screen. All right. So, can you all see my screen? I hope that you can. So, just a few minutes ago, you heard me mention my book, 90 Days for Me. So, this book that you see, this is the cover, and this is one of the books that I created from start to finish, every page, even the cover, by myself. And so I wanted to be able to do that because I wanted everybody to understand that even if you don't have a whole lot of money to hire an illustrator, hire a graphic designer to do your layout and design, you can do all of those things yourself. And I know that because I have, in fact, done all of those things myself. And so this is the book that I did from start to finish all by myself. Here's another book that I've written. It is a planner. It's Cleverly Changing Homeschool Planner that is available on Amazon for up to 5 students. I've also written books that have been translated into French and into Spanish. So these are some of my other titles. And so this book also comes in English, which is ABCs of Sickle Cell Disease, but I also have a coloring book companion, and it is in English, it's called A Sickle Cell Coloring Book for Kids. But what I have on the screen is the translations. So those are just some of the books that I have. And so I will say, I have the covers.
Carly,
Yes.
Carly, switch your tab. It's showing the StreamYard part, so I pulled it down. So switch your tab so that we can see it.
Oh, you can't see it. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me switch the tab. All right. Are you seeing the correct screen now?
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So let me just quickly show you the books. Again, so here are some of the titles. They're different covers. I did not do, I only did the first cover in Canva. None of the other covers were done in Canva, but this is just to show you um, some of the books that I've written. So I am going to switch over. Let me make sure that you all are still seeing my screen.
You're good.
So Tech, are we still able to see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to be talking to you about today is how to make your own journal. And so you can do this right in Canva. And so Canva is canva.com. That's C, A as in Apple, N as in Nancy, V as in Victor, A as in Apple.com. I know a lot of people, you know what Canva is, but for those who don't, I wanted to just kind of introduce this great platform to you. So don't be intimidated by all of the tools. You kind of have to get in there and try different things to see what you like and learn it. And so it is something that you can learn. You know, you can go to YouTube University and you can look at one of the Canva tutorials and really learn how to use it. So, or you can just jump in and use the free version. So, what I'm showing you now is this is the educator's version. So this version is for students. If you have a nonprofit, you can actually get Canva for free. And so that is one of the perks of having a 501c3. And so, what we're going to talk about today is how to create a journal. So, in Canva, you have different settings. So, you have file, resize, editing, and then you have all of these options on the left-hand side. And on your left-hand side, you have, it says templates, elements, text, brand, uploads, tools, projects, and so forth. So what we're going to be using mostly today is we're going to be using elements. So in elements, you can type in journal. And so when you do that, you're going to see different graphics that come up. We're going to look for some templates. So we're going to go out of elements and we're going to go to the templates and type in journal. Here's some options. What we're going to do today, and I've already written this, but I'm going to show you how to actually put the text on the page, is we're going to type in teen journal. So when you click on, or you type in teen, let's type in teen journal, because that's what I'm going to make today. You get different options. And so this is giving you some color options, cover options for the book. So I will say on this tutorial, I don't have a cover, and I don't have a cover because your covers are actually done separately than your interior files. So what we're working on right now, what we're about to work on, are the interior files. So these are the pages inside the book. The cover is done separately, so we would actually do that on a different page. And it's really your front and back are all one page. So we're not going to put the cover, but this does kind of give us some inspiration about what type of images we can use. So I can actually go ahead, I'm going to copy this to see when I put one of these templates in, what comes up. So I'm going to duplicate this page so that on the first page, we can see what happens when I copy one of these templates from the side into my actual book. And so I think these are fine. I will also say that if you're using a template that already exists, you don't want your book to look like everybody else's book, and everybody has access to Canva. So you're going to choose a template that you like, and then you're going to refine it. You're going to change up some things so that it looks fresh and different and not like everybody else's. So what I'm doing now, I'm just scrolling on the left-hand side to see what the options are. And so far, the options are very generic. You see they have like a sunshine. This is a video. So let's just pick one so that we can get started. All right, so I kind of like this one. And so here in the middle, it says my big ideas, and it's a number. So because we're making a teen journal and we want ours to look a little different, I'm actually going to switch out this photo in the middle, and I'm going to change it. And so how do I do that? I'm going to highlight it, and I delete it. I press delete, and the photo that was inside was actually a picture. So it didn't delete the entire heart. It only deleted the picture that was inside the heart. So the heart itself is actually one of the elements. It's a frame. So I am going to then go to elements, and I am going to change the photo. So I'm going to put teen teens. I want to put teen characters. Let's see what happens if I put in diverse teen characters. So let's search. So when I do that, I get graphics, I get photos and videos, even some 3D options. So remember, this was a frame. So what goes inside are photos. So here are a few photos of different teens. So these are some teens that are diving, they're in water. I don't know that we're going to, I'm going to delete that one because I don't think any of our teens are going to be diverse. Maybe they are, but I don't run across too many. So I'm going to scroll a little more to see if I get some other teens. So this is just some regular teens and they're standing side by side. So what did I do to get that in the middle? So let me do that again. For those of you who didn't notice, I actually just clicked on it. And when I clicked on it, so you can either, so when you click on it like that, it's going to show up as the orientation that the image was created in. So if it's vertical, you'll see a vertical image. In this case, you're looking at a horizontal image because that is the stock photo. So we're going to then put our mouse on it and drag it into the frame. So that is how I got the image inside the frame. And then I see, because on the right-hand side, there is one of the teens is kind of getting cut off and I want it to be a bit cleaner. So what I'm doing, I double clicked and now I'm using my mouse to move the image over just a little bit so that we can see all of the kids, all of the teens. And so there we have a different picture. So there we have the picture. It's inside the frame, which is very similar to what, we clicked on. We're going to change the font because again, we want ours to look a little bit different and not be the same as everybody else's. So we are going to change the font. And while I think some fonts are creative and fun, we want to make sure people can read it very easily. So I'm going to use a font that is bold, but the lines are very clean. So I changed it to League Spartan. So that's the one that I chose. All right, so my big ideas. Perhaps we'll keep the ideas the same, but let's see what we can change. So I clicked on this squiggly line, and if you notice, I can see this red color. It says, when I click on color, it says red. I'm going to change the color to kind of, again, make it my own. And because this journal is going to be unisex, I'm going to use some gender neutral colors. And I think green is a gender neutral color. So let's see. It doesn't look like we are able to change it. So how did I change this? I double clicked on it and then I clicked on the color and I chose a color that was in the photo. And this is from the trees and the grass that's in the background. And so that is how I changed the color to green. And so we're going to do the same. I like symmetry. And so I'm going to make this one green too. So let's see. Yes. So I clicked on that one and it changed. All right. So I'm not so sure about the number 15. So I have two options. I can change the numbers, so I can use elements to change these numbers, or I can just delete them. So if I delete them, this is what is here. So I can put something new. So let's see if I type in ideas, because we want to illustrate this. And so when I think of ideas, like a very rudimentary image of a light bulb comes to mind. But let's see what happens when, again, we're in the Elements tab on the left-hand side. Let's see what comes up when we type in ideas. So we're going to actually look for graphics. So before, like inside the frame, we looked at photos. But what we had here with the 15 and what we have here, these are graphics. So we're going to look at graphics so that we can replace the numbers that were here that we deleted. And so it's kind of given kind of a cartoonish magazine cutout style. So we want to make sure that we're kind of keeping that style. And so it's going to be a little bit whimsical, the option that we choose. So let's see. I don't know about this one, but I'm going to see how it looks when I make it smaller. So to make it smaller, I pressed on the, so this is a rectangle. When you click on it, it makes the different outer circles appear. You drag the circle inside to make it smaller, and you pull it outward to make it larger. So that's what I'm showing you. So we have this light bulb here, which is okay. I can turn the light bulb to the side to again play on the whimsical nature of the other things that are in the image. So we have that. Again, we have some other options on the outer side that makes it look like a torn up piece of paper. But I want to kind of make it a little bit more cohesive. And so I'm going to use some of the colors that are within the image that we added. So let's see. When I click on, so I clicked on this bottom layer. When I click on that and I go to color, I'm able to choose some of the colors that are in the photo. So I'm switching out some of these colors to see how it looks. If I just change them, it may not look very different, but we'll see. So when I changed them, it gave kind of like a silverish look. Not so sure I like that, but we're going to stick with it for the sake of this tutorial. All right. And so we have this kind of the new colors that were similar but not quite the same. We're going to switch out just some of the colors in these other elements to pull from the colors that are within the photo. So sometimes things may take a minute to change, and sometimes they'll change immediately. But we're just going to switch out a few of these options so that everything is the same. And then we're going to get into the interior of the book. All right. So this is how you would kind of take one of the templates that's there and make it your own. Now, you want to make sure that this, like if you're using a template, you want to make sure it covers everything. So this template, it wasn't going all the way to the end. So I just dragged it so it was going to the end. Again, This isn't going to be my actual cover because the actual cover will need to be one page front and back. But this does give you an idea of some of the options of the templates that are in there. All right. And so let's see if there were some other templates for this one. So sometimes the template will also have interior options as well. And so that's what we are looking at. So on your book, when you get to the first page, you're going to have a title page. So when someone opens up your book, you're going to open it up to a title page, or you can have your table of contents first. In this instance, we have the title page. And so the book that I'm working on right now is a gratitude journal for teens. It's very simple. If you wanted to add something youthful to that, you would again go to elements, you would go to graphics, and you would kind of see what's available. So what it's showing me and recommending me are things that were in the cover that I was working on. So I could add some of these things, but the journal that we're going to create is going to be black and white. So all of these color options are doing a lot. We don't need all of that. We need some simple graphics that are black and white that will really get the point across. So I see some of these icons. Icons are perfect because they definitely look like they were hand drawn, and they will actually go on this page because they're black and white. I won't have to make too many revisions. I like the clock, so I'm going to add the clock. All right. And so we have a clock here. If you wanted to add something else, so maybe a heart or a star or anything else, you can literally type in other options to see what is available. I'm just choosing something simple for the sake of this demonstration. Next, you want to have a copyright page. And so a gratitude journal for teens, and it is 2026. The imprint of my publishing company is Cleverly Changing Press. So the imprint is the publisher. And so if you are thinking about publishing books, you can literally come up with your own imprint. When you publish on Amazon, if you're using your own ISBN number, the book will be listed under your imprint. If you are using Amazon's free ISBN number, it will be listed as independently published. So independently published is saying that you've self-published this book. And so you certainly can self-publish the book, and you don't have to use ISBN number that you bought. In our very first session, which was back in April, we talked about the ISBN number being the social security number of the book. And here in the USA, in order to purchase an ISBN number, they will run you, this is in 2026, it's going to run you about $125 each. However, you get a bigger deal when you buy the ISBN numbers in bulk. So you can buy 10 at a time, 100 at a time, and so forth. The more you buy, the cheaper it is. And the company that you buy them from in the US is called Bowker. That's Bowker. And that is the only place that you can purchase them from in the US. Now, technically, there may be some other places that have deals, or if you have a vanity publisher, they probably already purchased the ISBN numbers in bulk, so that when they publish your book, it's going to be published under their imprint. And so whatever they're charging you to publish, that number and that cost will be within whatever their quote is. So an ISBN number in the US is about $125 each, unless you're buying them in bulk. All right, so next we have, so let me just go through this copyright. So this is a very simple copyright page. You can literally just pull a book from a shelf, buy a book at the store, and look and see how their copyright page was done. And you can copy that. You can also put it into AI. Create me a copyright page for my book. The book will be copywritten in 2026. You can, feed that information into AI, and it can create the words for your copyright page. Or again, you could just look in a book that exists and use it as an example and change the information based on what you need it to be. So this one has a disclaimer, and the disclaimer says no part of this book may be used or reproduced in any manner whatsoever without the written permission of the author. Now, I want to pause there for a very quick second, because often when you create a book that is like a workbook or a coloring book or an activity book, often people will want to make copies of those pages for activities. And technically, because you have this copyright page in there, they really shouldn't do that without contacting you. But as an author, I have had people, send me emails and say, hey, I've been copying your pages. Can you give me a deal on bulk orders? Or they can say, hey, can I get your permission? I've been copying the pages already. Can I get permission to copy some more? And that's really up to you, whether you want to grant them permission or not. All right, so the next page. Your next page is going to be a dedication page. And I want to just kind of pause here for a second to make sure that when you're writing your book, double check and make sure that your font, if you need all of your headings to be the same, make sure all of the headings are in the same font, because you don't want your book to look self-published. You want it to look professional. So while these pages that you're seeing look very plain, it's important because you want people to be able to read the information. But one thing that I also want you to notice is the white space around the edges. You don't want your text to go all the way to either edge or to the top of the page. You want to give the words space to breathe. And so ideally, you want at least 1 inch of margin, like an inch around the top and the sides, just all around. So you don't want the page to be completely covered with text, and you want to give it some breathing room. So just arbitrary rule of thumb is to give it a 1 inch border of white space or clear space, because not everybody's book interior pages are white. Sometimes you have cream interior pages and so forth. So on your dedication page, you can dedicate your book to whoever you want to dedicate your book. So for one of my books, I said, I dedicate this book to my sisters. Thank you for always guiding me. So this is a teen journal. They don't know who my sisters are. And so I'm actually going to dedicate this book to my daughters. It says, I dedicate this book to my daughters. You both have taught, let's make sure we spell everything right, taught me amazing lessons. All right, so I'm going to increase this so that you can see it. I know that you all are on the screen and I want to make sure you can see what I'm writing. So this is the dedication page. I dedicate this book to my daughters. You both have taught me amazing lessons. And then, all right. So what you saw just then was a message that popped up. So I use Grammarly on my computer to help me make sure that I'm being grammatically correct when I'm writing. Grammarly is an AI tool. So, yes, Grammarly has been out for longer than we've known about AI, but it's, one of those tools that it is helping us with our grammar, with the things that we're writing, even though we're giving it most of the ideas and then it's helping us refine what we're doing. So it is one of those tools that is artificial intelligence. All right. So then we have a blank page. So sometimes you may want to have a blank page there. Let's say if the book is front and back and you have several pages. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to make the book a little bit smaller and then I'm going to change the orientation so that you can see a little bit. So if we were doing, so if this was the cover, it would be this page, then you open it. And so behind this page would be this page. Then you would have this page come next. Then you would have the dedication behind. So these two would be front and back. These two would be front and back. And then you would have a blank page and then the introduction. You don't have to have a blank page. You can fill up every page or you can. That's totally up to you. In this instance, we're going to leave the blank page. All right. And then we have an introduction page. This particular introduction was written, and it was written based on my 90-day for me book. So it is not for teens. So that means I have to change the introduction. So you're going to write, excuse me, you're going to write a quick message that's an introduction that makes sense. And so you can tell people how to use your journal, how often that they can write in the journal. You want to give them some instructions or some guidance. And so with this being a gratitude journal, we're just going to say, thank you for purchasing we're going to want to talk to the person, and we don't want to really keep it that personal to us. So that's why I deleted the word my. So thank you for purchasing this journal. As you decide on what we want to put a message that has something to do with gratitude. So thank you for purchasing this journal. As you think about your day, be mindful of moments of gratitude. What are you Thankful for. All right, so that's a very, very short message. And just for the sake of time, we're just going through this so that you have an idea about, you know, how to create an introduction. The introduction that was there before was about 3 paragraphs. You can have, there's really no length that I would recommend per se, but I would say for most of you, when you're doing your market research, you want to make sure your book is kind of in line with what other people can expect. So, stores like Five Below, they have journals for cheap. The library you can check out. They don't really have journals per se, but you can check out a similar book for free or a tutorial for free. But you want to make sure that whatever book that you're creating, if people's expectation is a whole lot of words, then when you're writing that book, yours should also have a similar amount of words. You don't want to surprise people with what you're putting in your book when it comes to their expectations. You want to either exceed their expectations, but you certainly don't want them to feel like they've gotten less than what they should have. All right. So you can put an inspirational message in your book. Again, the interior for this book is going to be black and white. And so I am adding a message in here that is inspirational. And so just like we added the clock to that the title page, we can add some, let's see, geometric shapes. So I'm going back to elements, and when I started to write geometric, I put in geo and it suggested geometric shapes. And so geometric shapes came up. I like these triangles because they're very unisex for teens. So this book can be for teen boys or teen girls. And so I'm adding some of the shapes here. Now we talked about the 1-inch margin. So I'm actually going in and I'm adjusting this because we don't want anything to be cut off of our pages. That's why we're going to try to leave 1-inch margins on our page throughout our pages. That's something that we're going to constantly weave throughout the book. And so I am moving all of these things back so that I still have those 1-inch margins. And so that wasn't much razzle dazzle, but it's a little bit, which is just enough for this particular book. Now, for this page, I actually got this template from the template section in Canva. So here are some of the templates that go with this cover that I chose, are some templates that are already within Canva. So if you hover over one of these, sometimes they have multiple pages, and you can just really use the templates that come in Canva. So this is one. So I'm going to copy this page just so that you can see what it looks like so I'm pressing duplicate page. And I'm actually going to delete everything because I'm going to put this particular page from the template. I'm going to put that here. All right. So this template says gratitude reflection. Now, these words look a little feminine to me. So it may not to you, But for me, I'm like, I want those clean lines that we talked about in the beginning. And this is for a younger audience. I feel like this is for an older female. And that's not who this particular journal is for. And so I clicked on the word and I changed the fonts. So here is where So here is the words, here is the font. When I click on it, I can see different choices. And the great thing about Canva is on the left-hand side, you can see what the font looks like so that you can change it. Now, I will also say that you want to make sure that your words are not too small. So this is saying this is 39, which is, is very large. But if you're like trying to get a lot of information in and you make the font too small, people can't read it. So this is 39.1. I want to change it to an easy 40 so that when I'm making adjustments, I know what that header font size is, and I'm able to do that throughout. This page is cream. Most of the other pages, with the exception of the last page, this page is gray. We're making a black and white book. You can have things that are grayscale in a black and white book. So I'm actually not going to have a cream page. I'm going to change this to white because we're making a book that is black, white, and gray. And so this particular section was already created for us within Canva. So this is very, very easy for you to just change out. This is what Canva provided. And my advice to you is do not leave it the same, because that makes your book the same as everybody else's. So we need to change gratitude reflection to something else. And then we're going to change these 3 sections. Today, I'm grateful for someone who made me smile, a little joy I noticed. All of those need to be changed to personalize our book to us. And so instead of calling it a gratitude reflection, let's, I don't know why, but in my mind, I thought of gratitude tea, like TAE. For the sake of this, I'm going to leave this here. Now, when I decide to publish this book, I may change it, but for the sake of this, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it at that. And so then I'm going to change these prompts because they are a little flat. Now, AI is entering our lives. It has been here for more than a year, and sometimes people will feel like, oh, I don't have to think. I can just put it into AI. So yes, you can come up with some prompts from AI, but the best way to do that is to train your AI to write in your own voice. If it's writing in your own voice and you give it some ideas that make it unique, that's what will make it different than other people. Because AI likes to regurgitate and spit out very similar things. So we don't know too much about how the future is going to regulate AI books. So my advice is to try to come up with some prompts on your own. Now, I will also say that when you're running let's say you decide to publish this book on Ingram Spark. Ingram Spark will sometimes flag a book, even if it's not AI, it will flag a book as AI. So, try to change things and be unique as possible, if that is something that is important to you. All right. So the first prompt says, "Today I am grateful for." So let's see I am actually going to stop sharing so that we can see if we can get some ideas. If you all have any ideas, let me see. I don't see any comments. So um, see if you, I want you to think about, some prompts for this. So one of the prompts that I'm trying to think of is, okay, let's see. I'm going to go with it is a new day. It is a new, it is a new, a new day. And I am glad to be, it's a new day and I am glad to be awake because. All right. So the first prompt that I added is it is a new day and I am glad to be awake because, again, this is a team journal. This prompt is team friendly. It's not complex, easy to remember, easy to complete. And so they can put why they're glad to be awake on these lines that are following. And so these lines are already here. That's why we're pulling from an existing template and we're just going to modify it. Now we can put some geometric shapes, but we can do that later. We're just going to go through and make sure we have some prompts. Now, I will say this particular page can be reoccurring. So you can make your journal where you have the same prompts that go throughout the book. Or you can have different prompts on different pages. Just make sure that when you write your book description and you're selling it, you tell people, reoccurring prompts, because you don't want them to be surprised thinking they're getting a new prompt. Like your book is 180 pages and they find the same prompts throughout because you decided to just copy this 180 times. So just be transparent. I actually don't think it really makes a difference depending on what people want. I personally don't like journals that are the same all the time because it's a little monotonous and I get bored. So, but there are some people who like routine because it helps them know what to expect. So I'm not saying either is right or wrong. All right, so this next prompt is going to be something new. So let's see, what do we want to say? Today I plan to help at least one person by. So this one says, today I plan to help at least one person by. Now, in my mind, that is a way to show that you're grateful. When you take time to help somebody else, that is one way that you can show gratitude. If that doesn't fit your mode of gratitude and gratefulness, then change it. You can change it to whatever you want. All right. And so this next one is going to be a different prompt. So I took a break. And All right. So this one says, I took a break and took a walk. While on my walk, I thought about. And so the teen is going to list whatever they thought about while they were on their walk. But I like something that is also encouraging some action. Um, so I know that that's helpful for me. That's what, like, I want my kids to take walks. I want them to get fresh air because vitamin D is good for the body. And, for being out in nature is good for you. And so sometimes while you're out in nature doing something that's good for you, it's easy for you to think about things that make you grateful. And so I'm viewing all of those the same. So you can take this page and you can copy it. So we're going to take this. At the bottom, I am clicking on the three dots. This is in Canva. On the right-hand side, there are three dots at the bottom in this. It's like a rectangle. And I'm going to press duplicate page. So when I did that, it created another page that was the exact same. Now, again, maybe you can have 10 of these pages and then you can do a different page. So, one of the things that you see, we did change the font here. So we need to change the font here because this is another one of those templates that's within Canva, but we want to add continuity. And we do that by making sure that the font is the same. So I just pressed League Spartan, which is the same font that's here. But if you look at this, you notice everything is close together and it doesn't look the same. So I am going to press, let's see. So this is the all caps symbol. And one of these is going to allow me, here it is. So this is the T, and it has two arrows at the bottom, one going left and one going right. That's the icon that I pressed, the text icon with two arrows. And it says letter spacing and line spacing. And then it's the anchor text. So I'm actually going to go back here to see what their letter spacing was. So the first one is 0 and the second option is 1.4. We want everything to be consistent. And so I'm going to use those same numbers for this one. So I'm pressing 0 and then I think it was 1.4. I may have to go back and look. So this is 1.4. That looks more similar to this. Let me make sure it is the same. It is. So it was 1.4, and now this one is also 1.4. So what you see here are some other options. This side of the page, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger for those of you who are paying attention so that you can see. And we're going to actually increase this font. So let me tell you what I did. I'm pressing on my mouse and I'm dragging it over the text and I highlighted it. Now to increase the font size, I'm pressing the plus sign and I'm increasing the font size. All right, so this is actually taking the days to, it's taking it more to the right than I want it to be. So we're going to move it over. So hold on. We're going to move it over. And so how we're going to do this is I highlighted it. We're going to group them together because I'm going to move everything over at the same time. And then I pressed group, and now this triangular shape tool, or this little tool, I'm moving it to the left. And why am I doing that? Because again, I said we want to have 1-inch borders all around. All right. So again, this was, you want to make sure that your projects in Canva are named correctly. And so this is a gratitude journal for teens. So a gratitude journal for teens. All right, so we are now an hour into this tutorial, and I want to start wrapping it up so that I can get some questions from you all. And before I do that, I'm just going to go through this page so that you can see how do you take this template. Again, I got this template. I'm going to show you where I got it from and how it originally looked. And then I'm going to adjust it, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So again, Canva already has templates that already exist. So I press templates, and we're going to press journal page. So it was one of the journal page options. So what you see on the left are some of those options. And I'm trying to see if I see the one that we chose. I don't. So I want you to see what it initially looked like. This doesn't look that much different. It's just there are some tweaks. So I'm going to put daily 5-minute because that is on this page, and hopefully, yes, that did it. So what I'm going to do, I am going to copy this. I'm going to copy this page so that you can see a larger image of what it looked like. Okay, so I copied this page. Now I'm going to delete. I'm going to delete everything so that you can see what the page looked like. So I'm bringing it over. So I brought this over. This was the original template. This is what the original template looks like. But to match my book, I made these adjustments. So now the template is black and white, like my other pages. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to make some adjustments. But this original template looked like this. All right. So what do I notice? I notice that all of these are capital letters. So maybe I want everything. I want each of the sections to be capital letters. So this is the uppercase icon. It's a lowercase a and a capital A, and all I did was click on it. So this one is already all caps, and this bottom one is title case. And title case is when you have a capital letter and then lowercase letters. And so for this particular, to make everything consistent, we want to also make this one all capital. And so we're going to click on the icon, that's the lowercase and the uppercase icon. All right. So now our page looks even more different than this page. So I hope you all can see that. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so that you can see this a little bit better. So the words are thin. It's a very clean look, but to me it's feminine. It's feminine, it's given mother, and this is a teen journal, and I don't want it to give mother. So I'm going to work on this a little bit so that it has more of a teen feel. I feel like these uppercase letters, the bold words, they really just stand out for the youth in this case. I will say here we have gratitude moments, self-appreciation. Now, We've talked about just using a Canva template. You can literally keep it the same, but I'm encouraging you to make some tweaks to make it your own, because you don't want people feeling like I could have just went into Canva and did that myself. You want them to feel like you added some effort and you put some thought into it. And so that's why you're gonna change some of these prompts. Again, because it's for teens, we're going to add maybe some geometric shapes to give it a more youthful feel, because this is giving boring. We have very plain, very clean lines, but it needs something that says youth. And so we would go back to elements. Obviously, I like some elements. And perhaps I'm going to click on these honeycombs. I don't know if I should have, because I'm looking like, no, I don't. I don't think these honeycombs are going to work. So you have to kind of figure out what shapes will work. So before we had the triangles, I can put the triangles back, but I think adding some shapes. So if I added these particular shapes, I could have this in the background. So I'm going to show you, we're going to change the color because, again, it's going to be a black and white journal. And I'm changing the color. I'm changing the color to a light gray. And I see like this orange. I don't know why it's like that. So I'm changing the colors, but instead of giving me gray, it's giving me like a beige. So this is on a gray scale. I wanted it to be gray, but it's over my text. To put it behind all the text, we press position. So let me go back just so you can see. We pressed position, and we're going to move it backwards. So it's back now. And then we're going to fade it out. We're going to fade it a little more. Fade it so it's almost invisible. Not quite, but almost. So this, let me try 10. All right, so it's there. And we're going to move it because we don't want it to be super distracting. We want this page to be youthful, but not super distracting. So I'm making this so that they're there, but they're not too distracting. I may have to rethink what I'm doing, but this kind of gives you an idea of how you can decorate your page. So I moved it over so that it's not competing with my words. And so I faded them out. All right. So now this has a whimsical kind of look for unisex teens, for either a boy or a girl or other, so that it's still giving kind of some pizzazz, but not too much. It still looks professional. You can still read the text, but I made it my own. And again, it's very different than this initial template that was there. So that is just one example. And so again, you would copy this page and switch out the words as needed. So the next thing I want to show you, I want you to see kind of I'm going to go to the end so that you can see a little bit about the end of the book. So for this particular book that I did before, because this is an example from an existing book that I have, and it ends with a prompt. I didn't know, I wanted to check it because you can end your book with a message like, congratulations, you're done. So I'm actually going to copy this because again, I really like when there's symmetry and things have repetition. I like for everything to make sense. Now, when I'm actually doing this book, I'm going to have to get rid of these other pages that are here. I'm going to have to get rid of these other pages so that they all match the way I did these new pages. So that you guys can understand that. They all need to match because you don't want it to seem like you have a book in a book. So here, I recognize that, this is just an example, but it's not, I'm not in love with it. So this is going to need some tweaks. But I want the last page to say, congratulations. So let's do congratulations, you've completed your gratitude journal. So here we have this message. Let's see if we can make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so we're gonna make the text probably about 50. All right. Now, again, I said this is not as great as I would like it to be. I did like the triangles, so I may do some other triangles and just fade them in the back. Let's see how it looks. So we're gonna see, let's see how it looks. Probably not. And so if we found this and put it in a way that we like, we would just copy this so that the other pages look similar. So we wouldn't have to do it every single time. And I see that the congratulations, so the congratulations, the exclamation point needs to be on the same line. So that's something that you also have to be careful about. So we're going to find some more triangles and hopefully some that make sense. Really quick so that we can finish this. Okay. So now we're going to, with the transparency, just fade out the triangles just a little bit so that, and then I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so you can see what the geometric shapes did. So this is just an example. Of course, those of you who are creative, you can make it look as great as you would like it to. And so this is just an example. So then once we are done, we are going to actually, we would be completing all of those prompts. So a journal probably, you can have a 90-day journal, you can do a 30-day journal. If you're doing 30 days, that's great because you will only need 30 days worth of prompts. So if you do a 30, 60, or 90-day journal, that makes sense. For those of you thinking about doing a 365-day journal, that's a bit much. That's going to be a lot to print. That means that book is going to be very thick and you don't want people to get bored. So 30, 60, 90, probably, you can do what you want, but I'm just thinking about the youth and their attention span. For this particular journal that I'm doing, a 365-day journal doesn't make sense for that demographic. And so next, I showed you how to create it, the interior pages, and then we would download it. So to download it, you press share in Canva, and then you press download. Now, this is where you're going to change things. It says file type. Under file type, you're actually going to go to PDF. PDF. And you're going to press download. But they give you two options, either a PDF that's best for digital, that's if you're putting something like on a website, it's a digital format, or print. So we're saying we want to print a book, like a paperback book or a hardback book. So that means we would change it to print, and then we would change it to CMYK, best for professional printing. And then we would press download. So that is how we would get the file. So just for the sake of it, I'm going to download this. And it takes a few minutes and it's going to download to my computer. And then I would upload it. Now, we didn't necessarily go over this, but because I just thought about it, I want to make sure that you all are aware that in Canva, so you can either do it now, or you can do it once you have your PDF, and that is to add page numbers. So I like to do it in Adobe Acrobat because you could just add a watermark at the bottom as a footer. So in Adobe Acrobat, it gives you the option to add a header or a footer, even in Word. But in Canva, they don't give you that option. At least if they do, that's a new feature that I'm not so familiar with. But in the past, they definitely didn't. So it could possibly be a new feature, but in the past, you had to do it manually. And so to do it manually, to do your page numbers manually, you would click on text on the left-hand corner. You would add, so I just pressed the bottom one that says add a title, bit of body text, and I put it here. So you would put your page. And then when you find out where you want it, the great thing about Canva is you're able to see the lines, your grid lines, and exactly where. So once you find out where you want it, then you would go and you would copy it. And so on this page, it put it in the exact same spot, and you would change it 2 and 3 and 4 and so forth. So you can either do it right in Canva, or you could use another tool. And for those of you who do not have Adobe Suite, my suggestion is just do it in Canva. So that is our tutorial today. So I'm going to stop sharing. I feel like it was a whole lot of information, but I hope it was great information for you all, because with the information that I gave, you could technically write a journal. And so we showed you just an easy example of creating a gratitude journal. So in our next class, I'll actually finish that journal. I'll finish the journal, and then together we will upload it to Amazon KDP. So the next class, I believe, is December 11th. That is a long time from now, but that does give you all time to finish your journal or your planner or your book or whatever you're creating. But what I showed you today was a planner and how to create it in Canva. If you all have any questions, let me know. The key to Canva is to utilize the templates they provide you. Now, There's one thing, I'm going to go back to it just very quickly. We have just a few minutes. I'm going to go back to it because I want you all to be aware of something. And this is something I will go more in depth in the next class, but it is basically, I want you all to be able to resize. So you need to make sure that all of your pages are the same size. So if you're creating a journal and you want it to be a particular size, we're going to go to size. We're going to click on resize so that we can see what size this journal that I'm showing you today is, so that we make sure that we're creating the right size. So I went in here, and so right now, the journal that I'm creating is, I want to see the size that it is. So let me see. So file. So it's the 7.125 inches and 10.25 inches. So this is a 7 by 10 journal. When you are in KDP, and we'll talk about this in next class, you want to make sure that you're choosing a common trim size. That's the size of your book, so that when you make the cover, which we will make on December 11th, that you are in fact creating the right size. So today's journal that that I showed you, all of the pages are basically 7.125. That's the full bleed size. And so for those of you who are not familiar with that term, that is pretty much the full page. So when they print it, sometimes they have to make certain cuts. And so they will actually give you a template, and I'll provide you with a link to a template in the next class so that you will be able to determine what size your cover will need to be for this sized journal. So we will talk about the resizing and sizing, because that is really key to making sure that your book looks professional and everything lines up correctly the way that it's supposed to. So that, in fact, is it. That is it. We are all done. I hope you all learned something new. If you are watching the replay, please share this with someone who is interested in creating a planner or journal. Let them know. And so, again, a special thank you to Cayenne Wellness Center for sponsoring today's Author's Corner, where I got to show you how to make your own journal pages based on templates in Canva. And so you can reach out to me via email. My email is contact@cleverlychanging.com. Contact@cleverlychanging.com. And so if you have questions that were not answered today, you can put your questions in the chat as we wrap up, or you can send me an email. But I hope that you learned something new. I do see some comments, and one of the comments says, very useful information. Thank you. Thank you, Emion. Thank you for sharing and for attending today's event. I appreciate it. And then we have Sabina from Ghana. I like the education here. Thank you so much for joining us, Sabina. And last but not least, we have Too Tough Too. Great information for journaling. So yes, you all now have the tools to create your own journal or to create journals for someone else. And so again, come back on December 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, and 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to learn how to make the cover and to complete the whole process. So we will be completing our tutorial on December 11th. And I hope that you all have learned something new and that this gives you an opportunity to create your own book and become authors. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you want to learn about Cayenne's upcoming summit and the events that they have, please visit their website at cayennewellness.org. Again, that is cayennewellness.org. And they have an upcoming summit. Is going to be September 15th and 16th. It's their Hispanic Heritage Summit. And then September 16th through the 19th is their 20th educational summit. So be there, register, go to cayennewellness.org and learn more about their events. Their events are amazing. They have been an amazing host, and you will have an incredible time. So bye for now and have a wonderful weekend.